Seeds of the Silent Earth, Chapter 1. Page 1. The wind, a restless wanderer, swept across the skeletal remains of a once bustling Texas town. Buildings clawed at the sky, hollowed eyes staring out at a world stripped bare. Rust-colored dust, the remnants of a life long gone, painted the air, clinging to the cracked asphalt and the withered husks of forgotten cars. This was Killeen, or at least what was left of it. Elara, her brown hair the color of parched earth, sat perched on a crumbling brick wall, her gaze fixed on the horizon. At 22, her face already bore the etchings of a life lived under a harsh sun, lines that spoke of resilience and a quiet determination. The world had shrunk, its vibrant tapestry reduced to muted shades of survival. The Great Sickness, they called it, a swift and merciless plague that had swept across the globe, leaving behind a desolate silence. She remembered the whispers, the growing fear that had snaked its way through their small community on the outskirts of Killeen. The news reports, crackling with static, spoke of a virus, a contagion that devoured its victims from the inside out. Then came the fever, the coughs that rattled in the night, the bodies piling up in the streets, her family, her friends, her neighbors, all gone, swallowed by the unforgiving earth. Page 2. Elara closed her eyes, the memories a bitter sting. She had been spared, a cruel twist of fate that left her both grateful and burdened. Grateful for life, yet burdened by the weight of loss, by the responsibility to rebuild in a world that had crumbled. She looked down at her hands, calloused and strong from years of working the land. Her father, a farmer with a deep love for the soil, had taught her the secrets of the earth, the rhythm of the seasons, the delicate dance between humans and nature. Now those lessons were her lifeline, her only hope in a world without electricity, without the conveniences that had once seemed indispensable. Her village, a cluster of makeshift shelters cobbled together from salvaged wood and scrap metal, clung to life on the outskirts of the ghost town. They were a small band of survivors, barely 20 souls, their faces etched with the same grief, the same uncertainty. Yet, within their eyes, Elara saw a flicker of resilience, a spark that refused to be extinguished. Page 3. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that danced like macabre specters. A chill wind whistled through the skeletal buildings, carrying with it the whispers of the lost. Elara shivered, pulling her threadbare shawl tighter around her shoulders. It was time to return to the village, to face the hollow stairs, the gnawing hunger that gnawed at their bellies. She walked slowly, her boots crunching on the gravel, each step a heavy echo in the silence. The air was thick with the smell of dust and decay, a constant reminder of the world they had lost. Yet beneath it all, Elara detected another scent, faint but persistent, the smell of damp earth, of life clinging to survival. As she approached the village, she saw a small group gathered around a flickering fire, their faces illuminated by the dancing flames. Old Man Finn, his eyes cloudy with age, sat hunched on a fallen log, his voice a low rumble as he recounted tales of the past. Maya, her belly swollen with child, stirred a pot of meager stew, her movements slow and deliberate. Page 4. Elara joined the circle, her presence a silent comfort. They shared their meager meal, the silence punctuated by the crackling of the fire and the occasional cough. There was little to say, the weight of their loss a suffocating blanket. Yet, in the shared warmth of the fire, in the simple act of eating together, there was a sense of community, a fragile bond that held them together. After the meal, Elara helped Maya settle for the night, then retreated to her own small shelter. It was a cramped space, barely large enough for a bed and a small table, but it was hers, a sanctuary in a world gone mad. She lay down, her body weary, her mind racing. The whispers of the lost echoed in her ears, a chorus of sorrow and regret. But beneath the grief, Elara heard another voice, a whisper of hope, a call to action. She knew that survival was not enough. They needed to rebuild, to create a new world from the ashes of the old. Page 5. Elara closed her eyes, her thoughts turning to the seeds she had salvaged from her father's abandoned farm. Seeds of corn, beans, squash, the staples of a life long gone. She imagined a field of green, a vibrant tapestry of life woven into the barren landscape. It was a distant dream, a fragile hope in a world of despair. But it was a dream worth fighting for, a hope that could sustain them through the long, dark night. She drifted off to sleep, the whispers of the lost fading into the background. In their place, she heard the rustling of leaves, the chirping of crickets, the gentle patter of rain on parched earth. It was the music of life, a symphony of renewal, a promise whispered on the wind.